Dear Excellencies, distinguished guests and colleagues, I begin by extending sincere appreciation to the Africa Group and Alliance of Small Island States for the steadfast support through negotiations down to Sevilla. Their understanding of the issues and collaborative efforts have significantly influenced the positive outcomes in the Sevilla outcome document. A pivotal moment in the journey to Seville was the adoption of the Lome Declaration articulating Africa's unified stance on a multilateral mechanism for United Nations Framework Convention on Sovereign Debt and Reform of the Global Financial Architecture. The call reflects the determined commitment of African nations to ensure that debt is a vehicle for development, not an instrument of exploitation, extraction, and subjugation. Unfortunately, on the road to Seville, we are faced with the challenging obstacles imposed by those in denial and who prioritize self-interest and preservation of the status quo to the neglect of their moral obligation to advocate for reforms that position humanity at the core of development finance. It is essential to recognize that current developmental problems are not by chance. They are a product of the structural choices and resistance to necessary reforms by those who hold the most power to address them. The prevailing focus on profit maximization, capital accumulation, and the brazen lack of political will has skewed the global financial system against Africa and the global South. Moving forward, we continue to call for binding debt reforms based on proposals for UN Framework Convention on Debt. The reforms must recalibrate the role of Northern credit rating agencies and the IMF and the World Bank, and recognize the place of alternative credit rating agencies for enforcing responsible lending and borrowing practices. The urgency of inclusive policy making processes that grant Africa and the global South an equitable voice and representation in shaping the roles of development finance is crucial. Africa does not have the chance to colonize anyone and to fight another world war to get the opportunity to right the roles and put itself ahead of other nations as the North has done. FFD and its call for reform should provide that opportunity. Development is a cultural universal, and its absence is a direct result of decisions that prioritize creditor interest over human dignity. Now is the moment to envision and implement a new system that embodies fairness, solidarity, and the inherent right of every nation to pursue and achieve sustainable development. Thank you for your attention and commitment to this vital cause.